Hey y'all, welcome back. It's Danielle, and in today's video, let's talk about why you need to download Debt Payoff Planner. This app is bomb. Like, it's weird to say that about a financial app or about a debt payoff app, but I'm telling you, this app is everything. It has everything that you need to pay off your debt. It keeps you on track. It gives you notifications, congratulates you when you pay off a debt. It has everything you need. So as soon as you download it, you want to enter all your debts into it, put your interest rate in for each of those debts. You want to put in your due dates. You want to put your current balance for each of those, and then you also want to put in the minimum payment amount. So what is the minimum that you can pay on each of those debts every single month? So let's talk about why I like the Debt Payoff Planner app so much and why I recommend it. The first reason is that it gives you a projected debt payoff date. So it's going to tell you if you have this much debt and you're paying this much per month, then you're going to be completely out of debt by November of 2021 or November of 2022. It's going to give you an exact month and year that you're going to be out of debt, as long as you follow along with the plan that it provides to you, which who wouldn't want to know exactly when they're going to be out of debt? It makes it a whole lot easier to stick with the goal if you can see the end in sight. So like I said, you're going to enter in all of your debts. You're going to put in your interest rates, your minimum payments, and then you're also going to put how much money you're planning to pay on top of the minimum payments for all your debts. So let's say for all your debts, the minimum payment is $500 when you add everything up. How much are you going to pay on top of that $500 so that you can pay off your debt sooner? If you pay the minimum payments, obviously you will reach the end, but it's going to take you forever and you're going to pay a ton of money in interest. So you want to pay more than the minimum payment, and you need to figure out how much more you can pay. And then you just put that amount into Debt Payoff Planner, and it tells you how much money to pay toward each debt every month. And it's also going to tell you how much money you're going to pay in interest if you follow the schedules. It gives you an idea of if you were to pay extra payments on top of the amount of money that you're saying you can pay every month. Keeping with that first example, let's say that your minimum payments were $500 and you plan to pay an extra $300 every month on top of that $500, but you worked overtime and now you're able to pay not only the $500 minimum and the $300 on top of that, but also another $200. You put that in and it's going to tell you, okay, so now you can pay that $200, put that here, and it just kind of breaks everything down in such an easy way for you to be able to get out of debt a lot faster. And when you do make those one-time payments, it adjusts the amount of interest that you're paying, and it also adjusts the final payoff date if the amount of money that you paid was enough to affect that. So what could be better than that? And it's free. Download it. But anyway, let me finish telling you what I like about it, because there's just so many things that I like. So another thing that I like is that you can add your payments in. So when you make your monthly payment, there's a section in the app where you can go to that individual debt and add in your payment for the month, and then it adjusts how much you have left over to pay, and it also tells you how much you've paid so far, which for me, that's like a huge draw, because I like to see, okay, you paid $3,000 so far, you have this far to go. I just like that it keeps track of everything so well and keeps everything so well organized without you having to go and hunt down everything yourself. Another thing is that it gives you debt payoff progress, not only in a dollar amount, but also in a percentage. So it's going to tell you you've paid this much towards your debt so far, and that equals to 40%. So if you're a person who likes to keep track of percentages, it has you covered. But if you're also a person who likes to keep track of dollar amounts, it has you covered there too. Yeah, y'all, let me just tell you, download this app, okay? So another thing that I love about this app is that it lets you decide how you want to pay off your debt. So do you want to do the snowball method, or do you want to do the avalanche method? And the difference between those is the snowball method uses your interest rate. So you're paying off your highest interest rate debts first, because that will allow you to pay the least amount of money in interest, and therefore the least amount of money overall to pay off your debts, because you're tackling the ones with the highest interest rates first, versus the avalanche method, which does the lowest balances first. So it doesn't really take into consideration as much what the interest rate is on the debts, but more so you're paying off debts, individual debts faster, because you're tackling the ones with the lowest balances. So I'm going to pay my $300 debts, and then my $500 debt, and then my $1,000 debt, and then my $2,000 debt. Versus with the snowball method, you're going to pay, no matter what the balance is, you're going to pay the one that has the highest interest rate first. So hopefully that makes sense. And then another thing that I like is that as you're paying off your debts, it's allocating that money that you said you had to spend toward debt. So we have the example of you have $500 minimum on all your debts, but keep in mind that as you're paying off your debts, your minimum is no longer $500. Your minimum is now $300 or whatever, because you've paid off that debt. You no longer owe on it, so there is no longer a minimum balance or a minimum payment associated with it. But instead of just taking that money and putting it towards something else, you're continuing to pay that money toward debt. So let's say that in total I'm paying $900 a month in debt. Now I'm down to one debt, but I'm still paying $900 a month. If I had 5 debts in the beginning, but now I have 2 debts, I'm putting that full $900 that I was paying on 5 debts toward only those 2 debts, and it helps me to get there faster without stretching myself financially, but also without neglecting the fact that I do have more money that I could be putting toward these debts. And it gives you a plan for your debt payoff. So it's going to tell you that this is how much money you need to pay toward this debt, and this debt on month 1. And then after month 1, this debt will be paid off. So on month 2 through 6, this is your debt payoff schedule. So this is how much you're going to pay on each of these debts. And then after that, that debt is paid off. And then you're going to pay this much money on these debts. So it gives you like a pretty in-depth plan of action. So you know exactly how much you're going to pay on every single month for the duration of your debt payoff plan or your debt payoff journey. So if I'm projected to be completely out of debt by November of 2022, then it's going to tell me every month between now and November of 2022 how much to pay on each debt. So that brings me to the features, and that's one of the ones that I just basically explained, which is your payoff summary. So what I just explained was your payoff summary, and it's going to tell you what your projected payoff date is and what you pay for each month leading up until the day that you're done and completely out of debt. But some of the other features are payoff progress. So not only is it going to tell you how far you've come with your debt payoff, but it's also going to tell you this is how much you have left in loans, and this is how much you have left in credit cards. And this is the percentage that you've completed paying off for each of those types of debt. So it breaks it down into different debt types. So loans and credit cards. Another feature is that it's keeping track of your debts and your amounts remaining. So you know exactly how much you have in debt, you know exactly how much you started out with, you know exactly where you are as far as how much you've paid, and you know exactly how much you have remaining for each of those debts and overall. So it's going to give you an individual view for each debt, and it's also going to give you an overall view for your complete financial picture of how much debt you have overall. And then it also gives you strategy. So I touched on this earlier when I said that it would tell you exactly how much to pay each and every month within that like plan. So it's going to tell you the payment amount, payoff order, so when you should pay off each debt. And then it also gives you an area to add in one-time payments so that it can tell you where it thinks you should put that one-time payment and which debt it would be most beneficial for you to apply that to. And finally, payoff plan. So just to recap, it's going to help you to create a plan for your debt and paying it off, and give you a projection as to when you're going to be completely done and debt-free.